The 6th of July, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we are in Bava Metzia, Perek Ochsim, and we are right before the Mishnah on Daf Chaf Amid Aleph. So we have to, we finally finish up to this Mishnah, we're going to have a big round of applause.
Hooray.
So let's see what we have over here. Yeah, we didn't really finish all the way up to it, so that means that we got to. Okay, so let's just go from Abaya Omar. Abaya Omar, and Abaya is responding to the taina of Rava, because Rava tained that Abaya's taina was no taina. So now Abaya's defending his taina. What was the whole thing over here? That that's the issue. What was the thing over here? Yeah. So without getting into the whole thing over here, because we'll never get out of it if we do that, like we always do. Um, you know what? Let's just read Abaya Omar. No lengthy explanations. If we don't understand it, we'll add the explanation as we go. So let's start from Abaya Omar. This is 3 lines from the top of the page. Abaya Omar.
Okay,
And
there's
we go
two.
to Roy to start off the reading.
Roy, you're muted. Rabbi, is it the one that says Abai Amar Afilu or the one that says Abai Amar Chada?
Afilu.
Okay, Roy, that's on 20A1 on the left-hand side, the third paragraph. The Gemora challenges.
20A1.
20A1, left-hand column.
Yep. Oh, I see. Right. The Gemara challenges Rabbi's assertion that the Brisa supports Shmuel's opinion, explaining instead that the Brisa's ruling is limited to a specific case. Okay, thank you. Abaya Omar, Abaya said, Afilu Taima Litea Ladishmuel. You say that Shmuel's opinion is not correct. The Brisa can be explained in the following manner. Hecho b'may asakina. What do we refer to here in the Brisa that permits the return of the receipt? B'sheshotah katuva yotze hamachach yoda. To a case
Mitachas
of
Yada.
mitachas yada. To a case where we see that the Ketsuba document is still in her possession. And now the article goes on and says, in such a case, we know that she has not sold the Ketsuba, and we therefore return the receipt to her husband. Ordinarily, however, the bracer may agree that we should not return the receipt because we must be concerned that the purchaser of her Ketsuba might be defrauded. The Gemara explains why Rava did not interpret the Brisa as referring to this case, but rather asserted that the Brisa agrees with Shmuel's opinion. Rava Omar, but Rava says, Imosh Mishum Shatar Besabo. If the basis for returning the receipt was that the Ksuba document is in her possession, we would nevertheless have to consider the possibility of fraud. Hayashinan lishta lashti Kasuva. We must be concerned that perhaps the husband gave her two Kasuba documents. And there's a bit here from Art Scroll that she may have sold her Kasuba entitlement and given one of the documents to a purchaser while retaining the other, which we now see in her possession. Therefore, the only possible explanation of the Bryce's lack of concern for the defraudment of a purchaser is that it concurs with Shmuel's opinion. And Gemora presents Abaya's rebuttal to this argument. Abaya Omar, but Abaya says that the Bryce does not necessarily support Shmuel's opinion for two reasons. Chada, firstly, Lishite Kasuvat law. We need not be concerned for the unlikely possibility that the woman was given two Kasuva documents by her husband. It's unlikely. Therefore, seeing a Kasuba document in possession does eliminate the concern that she sold the Kasuba. Abaya's rebuttal continues, offering a new reason that we need not be concerned for fraud. Ba'ad, and furthermore, even in the case where she sold her Kasuba, we may nevertheless return the receipt to her husband for the following reason. Shuvah Bizmana Tarif. A receipt deprives the creditor of the right to collect payment of a debt from the date recorded on the receipt onwards, even if it is handed over to the debtor at a later date. Accordingly, the receipt that she wrote in Nisan is valid even if her husband did not pay her then. And if anyone purchased the Kasuba after the receipt was signed, he is not entitled to payment. The Gemara explains why Abaya holds that the receipt takes effect at the time it's written. Abaya said in this ruling, following his own reasoning, Gomar for Abaya said, Adayu v'chasomah zivin law. That when a document confers a benefit upon its recipient, its witnesses, by their signatures, acquire for him the benefit recorded on the document. Thus, the receipt which is beneficial to the debtor takes effect at the time it is signed.
To the debtor? To the creditor, no? It's benefiting the... Oh, no, okay. So the husband is the debtor. He's the one that owes the money. So it credits him with paying the ksuva on the date that the receipt is... the date that appears on the receipt, even though the husband actually did not pay the ksuba until months later. But that's the opinion of Abaye, that already he gets that merit for some reason, according to Abaye, from the ones that sign on the document from the day that the document is made. So according to all of this, we don't have any basis for saying that we're not worried about fraud. We're just talking about a case where there won't be any fraud. And since there won't be any fraud, that's why we give the document back to the wife, says Abaye. Not to the wife, to the husband. We give the receipt of payment back to the husband. It's not regarded as fraud that he's going to cheat out the purchaser of the rights to receive the proceeds to the ksuva, because it's not fraudulent, because according to Abaye, the husband is credited with the payment back to the time that the document was made. So if there would be, in other words, what comes out from what Abai is saying is that we have no support for from the Brisa that we're not concerned about fraud, like the Gemora originally stated when we said, "How could you give the document back to the husband just because the wife says so?" Maybe they're in cahoots together to defraud a possible purchaser. So according to Abaya, that it's not there's no fraud in that case that the Bryce is talking about. So accordingly, there's no the Bryce that doesn't necessarily support the view of Shmuel. Okay. Right. That's the point. Remember, Shmuel was the one who said that somebody who sells a creditor who sells the right to receive the proceeds from the debtor to a third party, after he sold the rights to the third party, he the seller of those rights, who was the original malva that was entitled to be paid from the debtor, he can now thereafter excuse the debtor's obligation to pay, even though he's not really in the picture anymore officially, because he's not the one who is going to be paid, because he already sold those rights to the third party. This is a case which resembles the case that of concern that the Gemora was concerned about, possibility of fraud, that the wife would sell the right to receive the ksuva. So, okay, let's see. Do we have that long Rashi? We did that long Rashi, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we did the long Rashi.
We did the long Rashi. Okay, so with that, we've completed to the Mishnah. A round of applause. 2 rounds of applause for completing Yud Tes Amud Beis and also completing to the Mishnah. Wow. Okay. Okay, so now we have a new case, a new Mishnah. And with that, we go to Lou to start off the reading of the Mishnah.
Okay. Matzah igros shum. One found letters of assignment. What's a letter of assignment? Assignment.
Letter of assignment. Igris shum the Igris mazon.
It says that property has been assessed and confiscated to satisfy a debt. Okay. So one found letters of assignment. The igros mazon, letters of sustenance. That is, that a husband agreed to provide for his stepdaughter's support. Shtare chalitza ume unayin. Certificates of chalitza or mi'un. Mi'un is a father contracts a marriage for his underage daughter. Ushtare ve rurin. Documents of clarification. Gemora is going to explain below what that means. V'chol ma'aseh beis din, or any act of the court, harei ze yechazir. These should be returned. Matzah biha fisa o bide lus kama.
Before you do this, do you want me to catch up on some Rashis on those things that you said
Yeah.
before we get them?
Good idea.
Okay, so we're starting the Rashis at the Mishnah. And the first one was Igrot Shum, that the letters of evaluation is Shishamu Beit Din, that Beit Din did a shuma, which is an evaluation, nichsei lova, of the properties of the lender, the malva bitocho, that was lent within it.
Nixie Lova, Lamalva, Bechovo, with in regard to his debt to the lender. So they appraised the possessions of the debtor. Okay.
Okay. The second one was Igor, the notes of Mozon of providing food or sustenance. Shakib Elolav, that he accepted upon himself. Luzun et Bat Ishto, that he was going to, so to speak, feed or provide sustenance for the daughter of his wife. That he's going to continue to do that.
Right.
Okay, the next one is the name, providing the miyun for the daughter there. Katana, Yatoma, a young orphan, mehasiu ima the achia, that they betrothed, so to speak, for marriage, the mother or the sister, Ladat, to know, Ladato, for her, with Hadato, is that Ladata or Ladato?
Ladata yotzi mimenu b'miyun.
Okay,
She can leave, and
with her knowledge, Yotza, she can go out mimenu from it. B'miyun, with miyun. Miyun is like a right of refusal. Like if she was a young person at the time they did it, and then when she becomes of age, she can say, "I don't want this." That's miyun. It's a refusal. The einu tzrichim get, and at those late, she doesn't need an official get. Ella rather, omeret, she says bifnei shlosha. She stays it in front of three. Like I guess that's a based in. I'm not capable of floating with this guy, Bali, to be my husband. The Kodvin law, Beit Din, and Beit Din writes for her a star, a document, Shemiana, of her refusal, Bifnehem, in front of them, Liot law, to be her Adot, that's the testimony, Mimuteret Lanisa, that she's now permitted to marry. That's like it gets her off the hook, and now she can marry somebody else. Okay, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Stare biurin.
Okay, star of birum is things that make clear, clarification. So what do they declare? And this doesn't really answer it because it says the Gemora nefaresh. The Gemara is going to explain that. And now, in all those cases, Arizeh Yachzir, all those things we talked about before, he can return it. The lecha lemichish, because you shouldn't be concerned. L'shema, perhaps nimach, he changed his mind. Vaha, and then Beitin lo ketuva, that Beitin didn't write anything. Elba rather the devar Mekayem, for a thing that is established, Ula Paron, and as far as payment, Nami also they shouldn't be concerned. The Bahani in these staros, documents, low shaya, they're not applicable. So in it, Paron payment. Get the Amrina, like we said above, Apilo Lamanda even according to the one who says that's a summa or a shuma.
Shuma.
A shuma, but that's an evaluation.
Shuma.
Hadar goes back. Ihu Lahapsid will lose on Anafshe. People will lose money on that from the evaluation.
Okay. All right, not so clear. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, fine. Maybe we'll learn more about that. But that's the din that we're seeing over here. A star which is a masa bezdin, we say we return it. And Rashi mentioned that there's no problem of maybe he changed his mind and he didn't give the document, or maybe it was paid, and so therefore we shouldn't give it to the one who's supposed to be paid because of various reasons. Then Rashi mentioned something about this case about a case of a shuma. So we'll see that when we see it. Maybe they're going to mention that. Okay. Anyway, so that's as far as we got in the Rashi and the Mishnah. And now we go further in the Mishnah. It's a long Mishnah over here. Motza b'chat fisa obedeluskama. Whose turn is it to read now? Who didn't read yet from this Mishnah?
Well, we're back. I think we're back to Roy to read again. Because
Roy
just read Paul, and I just read the whatchamacallit, the Rashi on that part of the Mishnah.
Okay. See where we are, Roy?
28.2, Roy. Very, very top of the page. Second paragraph.
The Mishnah now considers whether an ordinary document can be returned on the basis of external evidence. Metzia b'chafisa or bidluch k'ma. If one found a document in a chafisha or in a diluskama, there's two types of containers. Ze yachzir, he should return it. The chama aguda shel shetaros. How many documents constitute a bundle of documents? שלושה קישורים זה בזה. Three tied together. I suppose three or more. But anyway, three tied together. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, Omer. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, Echad halava mishal shah. If one found three documents regarding one person who borrowed from three different people, Yachazir Lelove, he should return them to the borrower, for they certainly belong to him. Shilasha Halavin Min Echad. But if the three documents concern three people who borrowed from one person, Yichazir Lamalave, the finder should return them to the lender, for they certainly belong to him.
Okay, let's take a look at some Rashi.
Okay, which
Motza b'chafisa u'b'deluskema.
okay, that doesn't answer the. That's not quite what what Oswald explained. You know, he found these two things, a chatisa or deluxima, and it says shum star, some type of a star, an evaluation of a star. And that's not what it really called it there.
Rashi's just explaining what was found in the chafisa or the deluskema.
A star. So a star was found. So we're talking about the things were found inside it. A star evaluation was found inside these two items, which are considered by art scroll to be containers of some. Or we need takrich, or we found this shell star. We find these a takrich, which he's calling it a roll. Something's wrapped up. It's wrapped up. The scarrots are wrapped up together. And the bichrach in this wrapping up, or aguda, or a pile or bundle, ubu Gemara mefresh. The Gemara is going to explain it's going to explain all these things. What's a chavisa, and what's a laksma, and what's a tachri, and what's a guda? What's the difference that we need four different types of finding documents within things? You know, who care? You know, it's something that documents were found in. And the Gemara is going to explain what those things are. So this is only the Mishnah saying they found them, not saying what they are. The Gemara is going to later on expound on it. Okay. And then, but in all those cases, we do have to return. You do have to return them. The devar sheyesh bo simin, in the thing that has it's a thing that has an identifying mark, a simin. Kidibefresh the Gemara, like the Gemara is going to explain. Because the vesicle is siman, has an identifying mark. Haba'alim, that the owners will say the keli zachazach, in this vest utensil, so and so motzah I found. Let me see. I found. Yeah. Is this same? Is the next line for Reish Gemara? We'll explain in the Gemara. Shakeli Simon. No, I did that already.
Simon Gishiyamru Habayim.
Okay, he found them. Right, he found them. became Tachrich Vaguda, and also in the rolls and the bundles, the sandwich, the wrapping in the piles. Hari Ze Yaksir, you also have to return it. The Dabar Sheyesh Bo Sibin, the thing that there is an identifying mark on it. Kiddim Efreish, the Gemora, that's going to be explaining in the Gemora. So all of these things are to be explained in the Gemara later on, what the siman and stuff. Okay, and then it says Echad Halove Mishlosha. Now this is where we're talking about how many. That one is being, one is going to be for three. That one borrows from three different people. Im Shlosha Shtarot. If there were three stars, Shel Lava of the borrower, Echad, one, mean Shalova, one that he borrowed, Meshlosha B'nei Adam, that he borrowed from three different people. And is this Yachziram also part of that one, that he should return it or not?
Good question.
And I'm not sure where we're up to. I think it is. Yeah, he does have to return it. If it's Yachzirim, we have to return it somehow. If it's one from three, he has to return. And then it says, it's only one word anyway. Then he has to Motzatam, the findings. He has to return the finding things. The Lovet to the borrower. Vadai, surely Para, he paid the Chaziram, and he returns it low to him. Umiyad, and immediately Nafal, it fell. She'im Adam, because if it was from his hand, that it found. Mikab who was able to gather them together into one place. Meant that it can't be just a lost thing. It had to be intentional. So you do return it to the Lova. But im shalosh, but if they're from three different borrowers, shalavo ba'adam achad, that lent it to one person, Yachziram, you return it from one. You lent it from one person. Yachziram, you return it. Amot said the things you found. L'malva, to the lender. Shahadavar yedua, because it's known. Shamamenu, from him, the flu that it fell.
In other words, if if all the documents, right, there's a low, there's two dinim over here. There's if you found three documents from three different lenders, all to the same lova, we say, oh, it must have fallen from the lova, because he's the one guy that made all these loans, that borrowed from three different people. So we're going to give it back to the lova, even though we don't know what because Rashi says he certainly, and the same thing goes true for the other case. If we find three documents and they're all from there are three different people who borrowed money from the same person, we're gonna say, oh, it must have fallen from the one person who loaned the money in all these three cases. Because it doesn't make any sense that it fell from that these three documents fell from three different borrowers, and they're all wrapped up in one thing. It makes more sense to say that they're all wrapped up in one thing because it's one lender who lent to these three different borrowers. So we're going from. We're out of time.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Phil.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Yeah.
Phil. Bye, Roy, and bye, Lou.
Bye bye.
Okay.
All the best.